Okay, so I want you to close your eyes for a second. Picture the one thing we all dread.
Oh, no.
The universal buffering wheel. You know, the one spinning and spinning?
I know it well.
Now imagine it never stops. We aren't talking about a slow internet day. We're talking about the plug being pulled everywhere, all at once.
That is the exact scenario our sources are tackling today. It's what they call a catastrophic decoupling event.
Which sounds very technical.
It is, but it just means the total absolute shutdown of the global internet. And before you think this is just sci-fi, the sources we're diving into treat this as a very real vulnerability.
And honestly, reading through this material gave me actual heart palpitations. I mean, it sounds like the plot of a horror movie for millennials.
It is terrifying, certainly. But what's fascinating is that the source material doesn't just treat it as a disaster.
Right. It frames it as something else.
Exactly. As a massive, involuntary sociological experiment, a total reset.
A reset that starts with total panic, obviously. But let's look at the mission for this deep dive. We're going to walk through that timeline.
Right. The first few minutes of shock, the economic collapse, and then some of the, well, stranger things that follow.
Like the return of analog skills and this concept they call the intention economy.
So let's unpack that immediate aftermath. The sources describe it not as a bang, but as a digital nervous system just being severed.
That phrase stuck with me, digital nervous system, because it implies the internet isn't just a tool anymore, it's like part of us.
It is. And when you sever a nerve, the reaction is physical. The source uses this really powerful analogy to phantom limb syndrome.
But on a global scale.
On a civilizational scale.
So what does that actually look like on the ground?
Well, think about muscle memory. The source describes billions of people just swiping.
What's my dead screen?
Billions of thumbs swiping reflexively against a void. We reach for the cloud for everything, to answer a question, to check the time, and it's just gone.
It's like reaching for a stair that isn't there. You just stumble.
Precisely. And that stumble leads right into the first major crisis mentioned in the notes.
The great dopamine famine.
The great dopamine famine.
I love that term, by the way, even if it's terrifying. But let's be specific here. This isn't just being bored. This is neurochemistry we're talking about.
It is. It's almost a medical description.
Yeah.
Think about anyone who is, a heavy user of TikTok, Reels, Shorts.
So most people under 30.
The source argues that for years, these brains have been rewired to expect a neurochemical reward, a little hit of dopamine every 15 seconds.
It's a loop. Stimulus, reward, stimulus, reward.
And suddenly you hit a wall, no reward, the loop is broken. The source paints this image of people just wandering around with glazed expressions because their attention spans are shattered.
They literally can't process reality because it's too slow.
Exactly. Their brains are screaming for the next cut, the next soundbite.
And the silence, that was the part that got me. No background radiation from podcasts or streams. People are just forced to confront their own thoughts.
Which is a nightmare scenario for a lot of us. It creates a vacuum. And that leads to some very strange behavior. The source suggests we'd see content withdrawal clinics springing up.
Wow.
But even more surreal is the visual they paint of influencers.
Oh, this part was wild. The idea of influencers taking to the streets.
It sounds funny, but think about the psychology. Their entire sense of self-worth is tied to engagement metrics.
Likes, shares, comments.
Right. So the source suggests we'd see creators going to town squares to perform viral dances for physical applause.
You're just trying to get a like in the real world.
They are trying to replicate metrics that no longer exist. It's a desperate attempt to find validation when the digital mirror is broken.
So we've got people having mental breakdowns because they can't doom scroll. That's the psychology. Let's pivot to the practical stuff, the money.
Yes.
Because if the internet goes, my bank app goes.
Right.
And I don't carry cash.
Almost nobody does. And this is where it gets really interesting economically. The source describes an immediate high-velocity chaos.
It mentioned cryptocurrency specifically. I feel like the crypto bros aren't going to like this part.
Probably not. In this scenario, cryptocurrency instantly becomes, and I'm quoting here, the most sophisticated conceptual art project in history.
Huh. Because you can't access it. Or you can't verify it.
Both. Crypto relies on a distributed ledger. If the nodes can't talk to each other, the ledger freezes its imaginary value.
Okay, so crypto's out. But what about normal money?
Well, the cashless society hits a brick wall, your Apple Pay, your tap terminals, they become useless plastic bricks.
So cash is king again.
Cash is king, but there's a huge problem. The velocity of money, how fast it moves, grinds to a halt. We're used to instant transactions. Without that, commerce just slows to a crawl.
And that triggers the supply chain snap.
Immediately.
I think people forget how automated our shelves are. It's not just trucks driving food around.
No, it's all run by just-in-time logistics. It's an algorithm that tells grocery stores exactly when to order milk so it doesn't spoil. It's incredibly efficient.
But incredibly fragile. It's designed to have zero slack.
Exactly. And without the internet, the automated ordering systems are dead. The trucks don't know where to go, the warehouses don't know what the stores need.
So the 2020 toilet paper panic would look like nothing.
Like a civilized dress rehearsal, according to the source. And the targets for looting change too. It's not just food.
It's physical media and maps.
And specifically maps.
We'll get to navigation in a minute, but staying on the economy.
Yeah.
Think about work. The work from home era ends in a single heartbeat.
Oh, absolutely. If you're a digital nomad in Bali, you are suddenly just unemployed in Bali.
And stranded.
But for the corporations, it's a brutal reversion to the 1980s, but without the right tools. The source describes a frantic scavenger hunt for analog technology.
So dusty typewriters and Rolodexes suddenly become gold.
Filing cabinets become high-value assets. And think about the skills gap. Suddenly, the ability to write in cursive or organize physical files becomes a rare, high-paying skill set.
I love the bit about middle management panic. It felt targeted.
It's pretty scathing, isn't it? The source says the illusion of productivity, which is so often maintained by Slack status updates and email chains, just vanishes.
If your whole job is digital coordination and there's no digital,
What do? Productivity drops to zero until people relearn how to use a landline, if those even work.
okay, so we're broke, we're back in the office using typewriters, and we're having withdrawal symptoms. Let's go back to the map thing, the blue dot crisis.
Yes.
This is the part that really hit home for me because I use GPS to go literally everywhere.
You and everyone else. We have an entire generation that has never navigated without a satellite telling them when to turn left.
I would get lost in my own neighborhood, I fully admit it.
And you wouldn't be alone. The source predicts people getting hopelessly lost just miles from home, and it creates this weird power dynamic shift.
Where gas station attendants become.
The gatekeepers of geographical knowledge.
Take a left at the old barn, that kind of thing.
Exactly. And paper map manufacturing becomes the most profitable industry overnight.
But it goes beyond just where am I, right? It becomes about what is true.
Yes. This is the information regression. Without Google or Wikipedia, truth becomes incredibly fragile. The source calls it the weaponization of gossip.
Can you explain that?
Well, imagine a rumor starts. The banks are opening on Tuesday. Normally, you'd check a news site. You'd verify.
But you can't.
There is no verification. Truth becomes whatever the loudest person in the room says it is. Misinformation isn't algorithmic anymore, it's oral.
And that changes the role of the library.
The library transforms. It goes from a quiet sanctuary to critical city infrastructure. Physical encyclopedias become guarded treasures.
Because they're the only verified source of information left.
Right. The librarian becomes one of the most important people in the community.
That is such a powerful image. But okay, we've painted up a pretty bleak picture. Chaos, looting, getting lost. There has to be a silver lining here.
Well, the source suggests that amidst this collapse, there is a strange and potentially beautiful sociological shift. It describes the death of the attention economy.
And the birth of the attention economy. Break that down for us.
It means we regain something we've basically eradicated for 2 decades. Boredom.
We usually think of boredom as a bad thing.
Only because we've been conditioned to. But the source argues boredom is the fertilizer of creativity. Without the constant consumption of other people's lives, we might start creating again.
But probably creating badly, right? If I start woodworking, it's not going to be pretty.
Oh, absolutely badly. Awkwardly, but authentically, that's the key. Hobbies explode. Woodworking, knitting, cooking, these move from content to watch to things to do.
So instead of watching a sped up video of someone making sourdough, I'm actually in the kitchen making a mess.
Exactly. You are engaging with reality, moving from passive consumption to active intention. And that spills over into our social lives. The source calls it the village paradox.
Which is?
The global village burns down, that idea of being connected to everyone on Earth, gone. But the actual village returns.
Meaning, I actually have to talk to my neighbors.
You have no choice. They're your only source of news, of help, of barter. And here's the kicker. Social friction returns.
Social friction?
Think about it. Online, you block people you disagree with, You mute words you don't like, you curate your reality.
I can't mute the guy in the grocery line who has a bad opinion.
No, you have to stand there and deal with it. The awkwardness of face-to-face interaction comes back. You can't just scroll past uncomfortable situations.
So we have to relearn tolerance, or at least how to manage conflict without just disappearing.
We have to relearn conversation. And this affects dating, too.
Oh, right. No apps, no Hinge, no Tinder.
No apps. Courtship is forced back into bars, parks, through mutual friends. The source actually predicts a drastic decrease in situationships.
Why fewer situationships?
Because they thrive on ambiguity and digital distance. Texting, but not committing. When you have to physically show up, the stakes are higher. The source predicts a boom in local proximity-based marriages.
It sounds like life just gets smaller.
Smaller, yes, but also more real. This extends to entertainment. The global superstar is impossible to maintain without broadcast tech.
Right. Taylor Swift can't be Taylor Swift without Spotify and Instagram.
Exactly. Fame becomes local again. The influencer is replaced by the town character. You'd see a resurgence of local theater and live music.
I want to touch on the long-term impact on our brains. If we get through the riots and the awkward dates, the source implies our minds actually change.
This is the cognitive reset. Our brains are plasticized by rapid-fire digital switching. With that gone, attention spans would begin to lengthen. Deep reading returns.
Deep reading. I miss that. I feel like I just skim everything now.
We all do. But in this world, you could sit with a book for 3 hours without an itch to check a notification. And that leads to the end of FOMO.
The fear of missing out.
It just disappears. Why? Because everyone is missing out on almost everything, all the time.
That's strangely comforting. If I don't know there's a party happening across the world, I don't care that I'm not there.
Exactly. The comparison trap vanishes. Everyone is forced to be present right here, right now.
But we have to acknowledge the trade-off. We can't romanticize this too much. The source is clear this isn't a utopia.
No, and it's important to be realistic. It is a tragedy. We lose the power of instant knowledge. We lose global empathy.
Right, the ability to organize things like disaster relief or political movements just evaporates.
We lose the ability to coordinate global movements for climate change or human rights. We become isolated tribes again. The world becomes smaller, slower, messy, and people would suffer.
So it's a very high price to pay for being present.
A massive price.
Yeah.
But, as the source concludes, the resulting world becomes undeniably real. The silence of the servers is eventually filled by the noise of actual living.
That's the phrase that stuck with me, the noise of actual living. It makes you wonder how much of what we do every day is just digital noise.
It raises a good question for the listener. If the cloud evaporated tomorrow, what part of your day would actually remain? How much of your productivity is just maintaining a digital signal?
It's a heavy thought to leave you with. Makes you want to go buy a physical map and learn how to knit, just in case.
Or at least print this transcript out. A physical copy is always a safe bet.
True. Thanks for diving in with us. It's been a fascinating, if slightly terrifying, look at our fragile digital world. We'll see you next time, assuming the servers are still running.
Stay curious.